Hello, my merciful brothers and sisters. It is I, Mr. Mercy, coming at you with another video. This time, I'm presenting you with some Overwatch League footage, not my own gameplay, because I wanted to talk about the Overwatch League. I've been sitting here watching the preseason. San Francisco Shock had a really great game with the Florida Mayhem. Of course, now we're watching the next series of games, which is the LA Valiant against the San Francisco Shock. Initially, it was going to be the Florida Mayhem versus the Philadelphia Fusion, but I believe one of their players got banned, I think, for the Philadelphia Fusion, so the San Francisco Shock subbed in. But anyway, I wanted to talk about, what I've seen from the Overwatch League so far and what I think of it. I think that that so far it's a really good start. I still think there are things that need to be improved on. Wow, that was a crazy dragon blade from Silk Thread. But anyways, I still think that there's like a lot that needs to be worked on. One of the things that I've noticed, and it sucks that they just finished the game, otherwise I would point it out, is that it sucks how the text in the middle of the time bank, where it would say prepare to attack or escort the payload, defend the payload, whatever, where it tells you the objective of the map, it's still white, which can be extremely misleading when some of the teams who have their away jerseys, they're more some of the lighter colors, like white. So I think that what they need to do, and it took me a while to figure it out, but I think what that is that no matter what the spectator is looking at, I think that that text is always referring to what would be the home team. Because when I was watching the previous set with the San Francisco Shock and the Florida Mayhem, and it seemed to be like whatever San Francisco was having to do, that's what was showing up on the time bank for the objective. So what I think they should do is they should alter the spectator system a little bit more, so where I'm fine with it, staying just one thing, because I think that'd be kind of confusing if the text started flipping back and forth, but whenever they wanted to swap to somebody on the other team. So if you're spectating somebody, for example, in this game, you're spectating somebody from the San Francisco Shock, and it says one thing. If it says attack the objective, but then you switch over to the away team and it says defend the objective, I think that would get a little bit confusing, even if it is being accurate with who you're spectating. So they should keep it consistent, but have that color be the same color as the home team, which is the way it pretty much is already, except it just doesn't have the color. So it's tracking whatever the home team does. That's what the game is saying the objective is whatever the home team's objective is. But I think they need to color it the same color as the home team whenever they're doing that. I really like all the other spectator tools. Like I found myself just a few games ago watching this, watching like a huge team fight breakout, and I think it was on Eichenwald. I think it was like the last game between the Mayhem and the Shock, and I was watching this team fight breakout, and I'm like, wow, that's I actually see who, where all the bullets are coming from, and who's hitting who, because they had the orange and they had the white, and it was very easy to distinguish those two colors from each other. So I think that their spectator system so far is really, really good. And overall, I mean, I have seen people complaining that the league isn't streamed on Twitch, and I'm kind of in the camp where I kind of agree that it should be streamed on Twitch, and I kind of don't, because the reason why I think I'm leaning more towards that it shouldn't, simply because yes, Twitch is the largest streaming platform available, but I think that the big thing to take away with the Overwatch League is this really beautiful site that they've made here, with like live stats updating all the time, and it's a really well made site. And if they were just to stream on Twitch, well, then everybody would just watch it on Twitch and not have access to all these features. And not to mention, I think the lack of a chat is a good thing, because the chat can tend to get a little bit toxic at times, and I think that would turn some people off to the Overwatch League. So yeah, I think that that it is better that it's streamed this way. Of course, it's really streaming through MLG Network, which if you go onto their site, they do have a chat. But I think that the absence of a chat on the homepage of the Overwatch League is a really good thing. But I think that if Blizzard really wants this to become the next big thing, there are two big things that they need to do in order to really push it over into the mainstream. And I think that those two things are, one, partner with a really prominent TV network. It doesn't really matter which one it is. I know that there has been Overwatch esports streamed on TBS Superstation in the past. They could continue streaming it on there. It doesn't really matter if it's cable or if it's local TV, but I think that they should find somewhere outside of the internet to actually air this. They should find a TV station willing to pick this up and air it on TV, because that's where a lot of the other older people are probably going to be watching it. And that leads me to another thing, is that there's the language that the casters use is a little bit. I mean, if you've been watching esports for a while, you'll recognize all of what this means, and if you are in the Overwatch community, you know what all this stuff means. But if they're trying to make this like mainstream, and they're trying to get people who are just generally into sports into this, I think that they need a little bit more clarification on not only how the Overwatch League works, and what people should be looking out for when they watch the Overwatch League, but also I think they need to be looking out for teaching people what the game is about. And the casters here and there have been mentioning how you play this game mode, what you do here, what you do there, but it's not very consistent. I think that at least on the website there needs to be something that shows that that's what you're trying to do, and that's what the objective of the game is. It should list all the heroes. It should list their abilities. People shouldn't have to go to the official Overwatch website to find out about that. They shouldn't have to go to the Overwatch wiki. They should all be able to get all that information right here on the Overwatch League website. And even if it's not as detailed as the Overwatch official site, then I think it still should all be on here. But this is another thing that I want to talk about the Overwatch League as I wrap up here. And it was brought on by this interview I watched from the Score Esports, where they talked a little bit about the Overwatch League and how it could make or break esports. And a lot of what they said I agreed with, but it was something actually that they said about another game, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, that really resonated with me and made me think about, this is another big barrier that Blizzard has to overcome in terms of making Overwatch League a mainstream thing, and that is the subject matter. There's really no way to sugarcoat it. I mean, I think it's even worse when it comes to Counter-Strike, because you're dealing with terrorists and counter-terrorists. I think that just that alone, and people in that interview said sponsors have turned away from sponsoring CS:GO esports just because they use the word terrorist in the game. Like, nobody wants to be affiliated with that, and I don't think it's as much of a problem with Overwatch, but at the end of the day, it's still, even if it's cartoony and silly in a way, it's still gun violence in Overwatch, and that's something that's, I don't know how many, people, whether they be sponsors or people who want to get involved in the league, or maybe who are interested in figuring out what the league's all about, at least, or even just the casual viewer. I don't know how that's going to translate, because you're using buzzwords like, you know, kill or kill streak, and to us as gamers, that doesn't seem like that big of a deal. We've been playing violent video games for as long as almost video games have existed, but you know, for somebody who's not familiar with games and hasn't grown up in that kind of environment and doesn't really get it, you know, hearing people talk about killing in, you know, a sports environment, that's going to be very foreign to people. And I think that, you know, we need to raise that literacy of, you know, the kind of gamer, not just the technical terms of the game, but, you know, just get people comfortable with the idea of fantasy violence as a sport, because I think that a lot of people aren't going to be comfortable with that in the mainstream. But that's really all I had to say about this. I don't know how long this clip has gone on. I hope I recorded it all correctly. I'm going to continue watching this. I may play some more Overwatch myself after I've finished with this. I'm kind of staying up to see the Seoul game. I think it's going to be really good. It's Seoul versus Shanghai, so I'm really excited to see that. But that's all I had to say. So remember, guys, if you liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, I'm Mr. Mercy. Peace, everyone.